Welcome to another episode of Think Out Loud. So today's special guest is an energetic, motivated fitness guru proving to women that you can have your cake and eat it. Based in Nashville, Tennessee in the US, she's a doctorate in physical therapy and certifications in personal training and nutrition. She helps people achieve a healthy balance of life, fitness, eating, and enjoyment. Founder and personal coach at HLB Lifestyle, Hannah Brandt. Welcome.
Oh my goodness, what an intro. Well, I am so excited to be here. You make me sound way cooler than I really am.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you know, you've got some good experience behind you. You've done a lot of learning of your trade. And I'm really excited to have you here today to talk to you about a number of different things, learn a little bit more about you because we've only really recently met and crossed paths. So I'm really looking forward today and finding out a little bit more about Hannah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here too. Been looking forward to this all week.
Excellent. Well, let's get started. So I know there's a normal format you may or may not be familiar with, but it's called the quick fire round, and it's our how to get to know Hannah. I don't know if you've listened to any of the previous podcasts at all.
Yes, I have. I'm equal parts excited and a little horrified for these rapid fire, but do your worst. Let's go. I'm ready.
Don't be terrified. Don't be horrified. It's all good. You know, it's all a bit of fun. It's all, you know, just to really explore and have some subject matter to get to know you a little bit better. And so if you've listened to some before, hopefully you've done some mental training in regards to how you might answer the questions, because these are all off the cuff, as all the listeners know who listen regularly. They're off the cuff. So we have not prepped these questions before, and that keeps it nice and authentic, and also keeps my my new guests on their toes. So let's crack on. First question is kind of a classic, okay? So you're stranded on a desert island and you have the luxury of one luxury item with you. What would that be?
Does my desert island have food?
Well, I'll let you interpret that. So if you're looking for luxury being that one item being food, then, you know, that's your choice.
I'm going to say I can be pretty savvy and I can catch myself some fish and whatnot. So if I could bring one item with me, I'm going to say it would have to be a pillow. Who doesn't just love to be able to lay down with their head in a pillow? I'm just saying, like, if I get a good night's sleep, I can be way more savvy during the day, you know, stake out, make my own little hut, all the really cool things. And then I'll get a great night's sleep on my pillow. And then I'll go back and I'll crush the next day. I don't need anything fancy. Just give me a pillow.
Fantastic shout, to be honest, because, you know, I actually did a podcast the other day that was about, you know, getting the most out of your brain and how sleep is so important. So, yeah, you might want to listen to that one. I'll put it in the comments as well. So if anyone listening might want to listen to that one. But yeah, one of the key things was sleep. And I was actually talking about the fact that I was having trouble lately because we have a lot of foxes that are around where we live. And these foxes keep coming in the garden and scratching around and everything, and they just keep you up. If you're not having a good night's sleep, you then focus on that, and it's quite a challenge. So I imagine on this desert island, there could be all kinds of creatures, but at least with a pillow, you could kind of cover over your ears or something as well if you can't quite get comfortable.
Hopefully that'd be the goal. Unless one of those little foxes or something comes and steals my pillow, then I'm a little out of luck, but I would probably try and keep that well hidden.
Yeah, or bat it away. No exactly. Animal cruelty here, though.
Of course not, because we love all of our little animals, because you're a cat mom, correct?
I am a cat mom, yes, absolutely. And I do love animals, even the pesky foxes in the garden. I love them. I just wish they wouldn't keep me up and steal my shoes and whatever else. So
that's fair.
It's a good answer. Great answer for your first question. There's still two to get through before we even get to business.
My palms are sweating.
They should be. So am I, in anticipation. So everyone has like an obscure song or a song that maybe they're a little bit embarrassed to admit that they like. So what would your guilty pleasure be when it comes to music?
Oh, it's not even guilty. I fully own this. Boy bands. I mean, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. I will still blast that. Car speakers so loud. It's just my jam. It's not even like something I try and hide. I lead with that.
There's something good about Backstreet Boys. It's a bit of old school, but enjoyable, and you can blast it out as loud as you want. But I bet there's more in there. I bet there are some guilty pleasures that you think, that one maybe is a little bit embarrassing. Come on now.
Let's see some really embarrassing ones. Okay, there's the one boy band song that everyone kind of hated, MMMBop, but I think it was like Hanson or something. Oh, I love that song. I had to pretend with all my friends, like, oh yeah, that song is so annoying. But then it came on the radio secretly. I was like, yes.
I think it's too catchy. That's the problem. They've made it so catchy.
It kind of got stuck in your head, but I didn't mind because I liked the song.
See, now you know it's a guilty pleasure. It gets stuck in your head, but you don't mind that it's there, and it will go on repeat. And I get this all the time. I get this with anything, any tune that I could walk into a supermarket or something, and they'll be playing a song on the radio in the background, and I'll walk out and I won't have realized that I've picked that up on the way out, and I'll be then humming it and singing it, and my partner will be like, where on earth have you got that from? And I'm like, it was playing in the supermarket.
That's too funny. I've definitely had that experience too.
It's all good though, and it's all harmless fun, entertains me.
It always surprises me how well we remember lyrics. Like from the songs way back in the day when you were a little kid, you haven't heard that song in a decade, and it comes out in the supermarket and you know every single word. You're like, I still got it.
So true. Even songs from school when you're at like junior school that you used to sing.
Oh yeah.
I can retain a lot of that.
I know all the songs.
But I bet you can't remember all the lessons you were taught.
Gosh, no. Gosh.
They should just sing lessons, right? Then you would retain this information. There's definitely
a case. Joke when I was in grad school, there was just some really complicated topics that we were just going over repeatedly. And I'm really good at remembering song lyrics, almost to a fault. I will never forget a song lyric. And the joke was, if they could put grad school into a song, I could have passed it in a month rather than 3 years.
I love that. I think they should do that. I really do think it could work for some people. Like, people learn in different ways, don't they? So I think it's a good shout. Okay, final question of the quick fire round, which is proving not to be quick fire because it's too interesting and we keep getting distracted. But you have a dinner party. You're able to invite one special guest, and let's say they happen to be famous. Let's say they could be dead or alive, just to spice it up a bit. Who is that famous person going to be?
That is a really, really good question. I'd have to say right now, I would bring Oprah.
Ooh, controversial. She's going to be busy, surely.
I'm sure she could squeeze me in, I'm sure. But I think the volume of people that she's had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing along her long career has probably helped shape who she is. And I think she would bring a lot of who she's met with to her conversations. So I feel like she'd be an interesting person just to have a coffee with.
That's amazing. So really you're interviewing her to get to the interviews of multiple people.
Kind of, because I'm sure she's done a lot of extrapolation on, common patterns she's seen in the people that she sees, have you made really cool impacts and really changed people's lives? And I'm sure there's common threads that she's been able to pick up upon, and it'd be fun to kind of tap into her psyche a little bit.
Excellent. So let's dial her up and let's see whether she's available.
Sure, you have her on speed dial? I'd love to chat. Hey, girl.
If only. Those are some really great answers. I'm sure everyone will love them and also agree with some of them, possibly disagree with others, but it gives us a really good rounded view of you, Hannah. So thank you for sharing those with us and being so honest with your music tastes. Now, let's get down to some business, shall we? Shall we, get a bit professional here?
Okay, let me put my professional pants.
I'm going to start you off with an easy one. Well, I hope it's an easy one.
All right.
Because, you know, tell us a little bit about HLB Lifestyle and what is it that you actually do for people?
Great question. So HLB Lifestyle is a company I started by accident. So I had a personal weight loss journey of my own. I had gone through, undergrad and grad school and had always been uncomfortable in my skin. And I worked hard and I did a lot of research and I ended up losing over 60 pounds. And then I didn't put it back on. I kept it off. And I started getting asked a lot of questions. And that kind of turned itself into a business without a lot of premeditation on my part. So HLB Lifestyle, the acronym stands for Healthy Lean Body, or it can stand for my initials. Just kind of happy accident, both fit. And I really help women transform the life that they have into the life that they want using fitness, nutrition, and personal development.
Amazing. You really concisely position that as well. I think it's great to hear that some businesses that I speak to and some individuals that I speak to, the passion that's kind of led them to where they are is because that's where they've come from and what they've experienced. So it is really interesting to hear that it kind of came about because you'd gone through that weight loss process yourself, and it kind of pushed you to turn that into a business, whether by kind of accident or not. What tipped it from interest to business, would you say? What was it that kind of took it into a kind of day-to-day and revenue generator, I guess?
Great question. So it started happening, I started getting more and more questions. Most people that had known me in all stages of life saw the transformation, both, physically and just lifestyle wise. And I started taking on some women just kind of informally as clients. And at that time, I was also a full-time physical therapist. So I was also treating patients full-time in the clinic. And I saw it as an interesting opportunity to help. Now I mainly work with women in my coaching business, but it was a way to help women in another way as compared to what I was used to as a physical therapist. Everyone comes to you because they had something go devastatingly wrong. No one goes to physical therapy because things are going super well. So no one's all that excited to hang out with you. So even in the space of weight loss, no one comes to you because they love where they are, but it was just a different way to help people that was similar enough to my skill set, but it was also kind of a new adventure and I really enjoyed it. So I just started being more vocal about helping women, and in turn, more women wanted my help. So it was kind of just this organic growth, and it's been a really, really fun ride. And a lot of my clients have given me feedback that they've enjoyed the fact that I've gone through it too. I know how it feels to be on their side of the screen or their side of the conversation, which can be very powerful when you're speaking with someone who you feel like actually speaks your same language.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it. It's about you've nearly been your own potential customer or client.
Exactly.
And so you can really empathize with what they're going through. And do you work with people just looking to lose weight, or do you also work with people looking to put on weight? Because I remember when I was much younger, when I was in my teens, I had the opposite problem. I'm like very tall, although you can't see on on a Zoom podcast, and no one listening can see how tall I am. But I'm like 5'11", so for a female, that's pretty tall. And I was quite slim, in fact, like probably underweight. And people would always go, oh, you're so skinny and this. And I think it's, you have the impact of both sides. You have people that struggle with having too much weight, and then you have the ones that struggle that can't put the weight on. But I think that there's different perceptions of both. So, people would throw fun at me and say, oh, you're so skinny or whatever. But I was like inside going, you know what? I'm not happy with this. I'm eating loads of stuff and I'm not putting any weight on. So do you work with both sides of like different types of people that are trying to lose weight and put on weight, or is it mainly to lose weight?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's honestly one of those real things that not many people talk about. There's a lot of banter now about people being overweight and trying to get their weight into a more healthier, comfortable range, but not as many people talk about being underweight, and the feedback and the kind of emotional turmoil that can be like as well. And the vast majority of the clients I work with are someone who is inherently wanting to lose weight to be more comfortable in her skin, whether it's maybe after a baby or they put their needs first to get through school. Now they have the job and just don't feel like they look how they feel. So they need help getting the weight off. But then I do have the outliers that come in knowing that they're either maybe not inherently using the words I'm underweight, but it's I know I'm not eating enough. And I don't know how to fuel my body properly. I could probably stand to build muscle and I could be more healthy. I don't want to fill up with junk. I want to put it on in a good way. I do have those clients too. And it's really fun for me using evidence-based practice, the common denominator, whether someone is inherently trying to gain weight in a healthy way or lose weight in a healthy way. Often both parties, the first thing we need to do is increase your calories.
Sure. Interesting. And I think that brings me nicely onto my second question actually as well, which I found really fascinating because we work in quite different businesses. So myself in digital marketing and you within nutrition and personal health and training and fitness. But when I looked at your your marketing profiles, your digital profiles, you talk about this process that you take, which is taking a detailed look at where the client has been, where they are now, and where they want to be in the future. And it just resonated with me because that's exactly how we work with our clients as well. Because unless you understand the journey that they've been through and what they've tried and what's worked and what hasn't worked for them, and understand really where the pains are for them at the moment, how can you ever help them to get forward? So I guess there's kind of a number of questions in one here, which is how, when you're working with a client, do you make sure that the goals that they want to achieve are actually like realistic? And can that, is there anyone that doesn't work for? Is it, does it have to be a particular person or a particular mindset in order to get to those goals? Or can it be anyone that you can actually help?
Yeah, really deceivingly complicated questions, which I love. So the first part in regards to being able to tell a woman if her goals are realistic is like what you said. We have very similar processes for how we work is, well, how do we know where we can get you to go unless we take a look at where you've been? We can learn a lot from someone's prior journey. And for example, let's say you and I were about to go on a road trip and I'm sitting here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we wanted to drive across the country and see California. And we're like, I want to get there in a day and we're going to drive. Is that realistic? Google would tell us no, because it's going to take your current location and your destination, and it's going to give you an approximate timeline. I can do that with a client once I know more about her history. And, you know, if someone's like, I want to lose this much weight in this amount of time, I'm like, well, tell me more. What have you tried before? Have you ever been that weight before? Like, the more you can tell me, the more I can say, you know what? I think we can actually totally accomplish that. This is a really realistic timeline. This is what we're looking like. I always remind women that we need to leave room for life, because you're probably going to have a birthday somewhere in there, or a friend's going to get married, or there's going to be a holiday, and we should be able to enjoy those along the way. So we need to leave room for life. And then there's other women who want to accomplish a goal and get to a place where they've never been. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay to have some very lofty goals. We do need to be realistic. And I try to rein in some of the goals that just don't fully make sense on paper. I'm like, literally, it is not possible to do that without surgery or things of that nature, which is not what we're about here at HLB Lifestyle. So it's pretty easy to tell a woman if her goals are realistic once you know where she's been and where she is now, and can kind of project where she's trying to go, much like a Google Maps is going to project you like how long until you get to your destination, and they calibrate it off of your current location. And then the second part, when you were talking about if there's someone that I can't help. And honestly, yes. And it's not a type of weight loss goal. It's not an injury. It's not a health marker. It is a mindset. And the only people that I turn away from coaching, that I say, you know what, I just don't think we're a good fit, I don't think I can help you right now, are the ones who are unwilling to help themselves. I can help you get there, but I can't do it without your help. So I notice that in my patients, also in the clinic, the ones who did head and shoulders above the others were the ones that were saying, help me fix this problem. They did better than the ones that came in and said, you fix this. So if someone comes in saying like, you get this weight off me, I can't help someone who's not willing to take some personal responsibility and ownership over what needs to happen to accomplish the goal.
Yeah, I think that is such a good point. And I think that's where, so my question around, do you need people that have a particular mindset? And it's not a special person, is it? You know, it's not someone that's different to anyone else, but it needs to be where you're at with yourself and where you feel you can put the work in. And I think, again, kind of feeding into my next question, there's been so many challenges with lockdowns all over the world. So people have been stuck at home, sat at a desk, whether it be in their kitchen table with all kids running around, or whether it be in the corner of a bedroom or whatever. We've had to just suck it up and deal with it, right? and with that has come dressing maybe like a slob, not bothering to do our hair and makeup, you know, treating ourselves slightly differently. And some people have gone one way down a fitness route, like, I need to get out of this house, I'm going to start jogging, and I've never jogged in my life. And other people have maybe gone the other way, where they've slowed down and they're doing even less than they were, and they're barely leaving their house, or they're tied to their desk because there's so much that they feel they're kind of nearly trapped in their office space, because their office space is now their home space, and all this kind of chaos around it. And then there's the other side of things, where people have gone back to work, and then now they've had all this time at home where they could go jogging at lunchtime, or they've done some yoga at home in the front room, watching someone on YouTube or someone like yourselves as a personal trainer. They've now gone back to the office, and they're doing a long commute. They're stuck again because now they feel they haven't got any time. By the time they get home, the kids are in bed, you know, they've run out of day. So I wondered if you could give some top tips, maybe 3 top tips to people who are either stuck at their desks at home and struggling to kind of motivate themselves to get fit and healthy and eat healthy, or on the other side, they feel like they don't have the time because now they're back commuting and they've lost that privilege of that time of that luxury of time that they had whilst they weren't commuting.
No, I love that question so much, because so many people were impacted differently with the pandemic, and it's all foreign. None of us could have predicted this happened. And now some people are in a body that they've never inhabited before, and they're thinking, what on earth has happened? They don't even know how to get out of that space or trying to get back into a work routine. So 3 main top tips. The first one kind of ties back into what you and I were just talking about in regards to your processes when you're taking on a client is, first, figure out where you are. I was at a conference just last week with some other women in business, and I was getting pulled to the side quite a few times, which was wonderful. Women like, hey, can I ask you a couple of questions? Can you help me with some of my goals? And I said, I'd love to. And I kept asking the same thing. And I'm like, well, what does your fitness and nutrition look like now? Because it's very easy for someone to ask the question, what should I be doing to lose weight as far as exercise? Or what do I need to be doing to lose weight? Or what do I need to eat to be healthier? And my response is always like, well, I don't know until I can meet you where you are. So that's a big missing piece, is figure out where you are first. That's what you need to do is, are you at baseline? Are you even eating breakfast? I'm not going to tell you what you need to be eating if you're not eating anything at all. Maybe just having breakfast would be a superior choice in general. So first, figure out where you are. The second is keep it simple. I understand the draw between, like, you know, of a shred, a challenge, a cleanse, like all those fancy fun words are something kind of new and exciting and tantalizing, and it makes you want to stick with it. But then when it's done, you're just kind of left wanting more and back to square one very quickly. When in reality, if you start with basics and stick there, simple things like starting to go to bed at a decent hour, drinking an adequate amount of water, and getting a couple more vegetables into your routine can go a long way. It's not fancy or flashy, but there's a reason those have been consistent forever in the realm of health, fitness, and weight loss. So figure out where you are now, stick with some really simple basics. And then the third one is be patient. You didn't get where you are now very quickly. So there's a very good chance you're not going to get where you want to go very quickly either. And being impatient can be a huge barrier to anyone actually achieving their goals, when in reality, you're well on your way. It may just take a little bit longer than you would like, but that's just the nature of, instant gratification, the world that we live in now. We all get impatient, but just keep doing the basic things for a while and you'll be in a really good place, and then add to your plate, then add something new.
I think that really sums up everything that we've talked about today. And I think consistency is so important, no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's eating, whether it's fitness, whether it's communication with friends, or, whatever it may be, work. It's all about consistency. And if you're able to maintain that consistency, which normally isn't by going full throttle at something, because you're then going to run out of steam and have to pull back. If you're able to keep it simple, like you say, and chip away at it, I think, that normally is a good foundation for you to get to where you want to be. It's been so good to talk to you today, Hannah. It's been fantastic. I think you've given us some really good insights. I would love to talk to you for longer. I have my own personal questions that I could probably ask. I've put a few pounds on over lockdown, that's for sure. I have signed myself up for a challenge. There's a run in where I live, actually, in Southsea in Portsmouth. It's called the Great South Run, and I have committed that I'm going to do that. It's a 10-mile run.
Fun. 10 miles. Woo!
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I've got a month. I've started training. I've got it in about a month's time. So we'll see how that goes. But at least I will consistently train slowly and keep it simple till I get there.
There you go. That's all you got to do, is just be consistent, and you should enjoy it.
I totally agree. I think I actually don't like running, but I love after I've done running.
Okay.
The feeling afterwards when you go, I did that. I did it. Yes. And
that post-runner's high.
I love it. Yeah. I absolutely hate the doing of the running, but
you're in good company.
I'm working on it. Hannah, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for taking time out of your day. And I hope the rest of your day goes well, because you've still got a lot of it to go, and I'm tailing off on my end.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun, and it is time for you to close the work down and you get some rest for tonight, because we talked about a good bedtime routine, and just some basics go a long way.
Yeah, and I'll make sure there's no foxes in the garden, and I've got a good pillow to take with me.
Perfect. And make sure when you talk to Oprah, you tell her I say hi.
I will tell her that you say hi. Thanks to all the listeners for today. That's been another episode of Think Out Loud. I'll speak to you next week.